The Houston Rockets entered year 3 of their rebuild with the same mindset and the same results as the previous two. 3 years with the worst record in the conference, 3 years with Stephen Silas, and 3 years with the sole focus on player development. Stephen Silas is now out, and the hope will be to at least avoid the bottom of the West next season. So let's discuss the other factor, the player development, the expectations I have for the Rockets offseason, and if they can finally take some steps forward in the 2023-24 season. Jalen Green remained at the center of attention on the Rockets this year after a strong finish to his rookie season. He struggles to get as much love as some of the other members of his draft class that are on slightly more competitive teams, such as Evan Mobley and Scotty Barnes. And there are some valid frustrations to have with some of Jalen Green's decisions on the court at times. But if one thing is for certain, Jalen Green knows how to score the basketball. He averaged over 22 points a night this year on moderately worse efficiency than his rookie season, but he had to do so while carrying a significant load on this Rockets offense. Some of his shot selection and decisions with the ball can be questioned at times. He can be a bit of an ISO-heavy player and a bit of a ball stopper at times, but he is the engine of this offense. And during year 2, as a young guard in the league on a team with very little leadership and a questionable culture, those concerns are probably to be expected. With a new head coach coming to town, a new high-end rookie joining the team this offseason, and with another summer of development for Jalen Green, year 3 could be a big step forward. Jabari Smith struggled to meet the expectations of his rookie season. He was the expected #1 overall pick until about the night before the draft, where Paolo started to rise up the boards to #1, and it led to Jabari falling to the Houston Rockets. And he was deemed one of the more NBA-ready guys in the draft who could defend, shoot the three immediately, and be a relatively productive rookie. And that didn't quite come to fruition at the rate at which it was expected. There is still plenty of reason to be optimistic about Jabari's rookie season. Through his last 21 games in the year, he averaged over 15 points a night, while shooting over 46% from the field and over 35% from three. His defense also improved significantly throughout the season, both on the ball, on the perimeter, and at the rim as a secondary rim protector. It may not have been the dream rookie season for Jabari Smith Jr., but there's still plenty of upside for him, no doubt, and he still has the room to develop into a very key starter for the Houston Rockets. Alperen Sengun stepped up in the departure of Christian Wood and became the new starting center in town, and offensively, it's safe to say the future looks bright for Sengun. He averaged nearly 15 points a night, and he's a very creative center. He has a very unique post and mid-range game. He has a great ability to score efficiently around the rim. But most notably and importantly is his very crafty passing and playmaking ability. He's the best playmaker and most team-centered player on this Rockets offense, and that's only going to improve for a center who's only 20 years old. Of course, the big concern for Sengun is on the defensive end, and that's just something he'll never likely be overly great at, but he does need to make an effort to improve on that end from a positioning standpoint, from a mental engagement standpoint, to, at least for his sake, improve his potential contracts in the future and improve the potential rim protection and team defense of the Houston Rockets moving forward. Terry Eason had himself a solid rookie season and will likely be a member of the all-rookie second team this year. He showed upside as a three-point shooter with a future ability to space the floor at a higher rate, and his length has served well on the defensive glass, and while showing some upside as a secondary rim protector. And Kevin Porter Jr. might not have the hype and attention surrounding him that he did a couple of years ago when there was a projected MIP season for him and a potential all-star case for him a couple of years down the road. We're past that, but after getting his extension last summer, KPJ had a very solid season. He was the engine of this offense alongside Jalen Green and recorded a career high in points, free throw attempts, and efficiency. He will likely never be an elite tier point guard or this future all-star that people talked about a few years ago, but KPJ continues to be a solid shot creator and a fine playmaker. And he can be a bit of a ball stopper at times, and he may not be the surefire starting point guard of the future for the Rockets years down the road, but in one way or another, he will offer some value to this Rockets organization moving forward. Some former first-round picks of the Rockets that were less notable parts of the rotation this season include Usman Garuba, who got more time than he did in year one and continues to show some defensive upside, whilst improving significantly as a three-point shooter this year. Now, given it was on very minimal volume, but he did improve nonetheless and could continue to improve into next season as a valuable part of this Rockets rotation. Unfortunately, the same increase in playing time could not be attributed for second-year guard Josh Christopher. Now, his efficiency fell this year significantly, especially from three, and he struggled to consistently find his way into the rotation. With regards to the Houston Rockets offseason, there's a debate for saying that it could be interesting in free agency, but at least internally from guys that they're going to be losing, it won't be interesting at all. There's quite literally no free agents of note for this Houston Rockets team heading into the offseason. Most of this team are still guys on their rookie deals. Jason Tate and Kevin Porter Jr. are the exceptions to that as they play on their second contract. But the free agents on this team are Boban Marjanovic, Frank Kaminsky, DJ Augustine. There's no key guys to this roster, to this rotation, and I don't expect any of them to be on a high priority list of things to do and players to bring back for the Rockets this offseason. The X factor for the Rockets offseason, and particularly their free agency, is the rumored potential reunion of James Harden and the Houston Rockets. The Rockets have the cap space to bring in Harden. That's certainly not in question. They simply need Harden to flunk out with the 76ers in this postseason and decide to opt out of his contract, and indeed then desire a return to Houston. There's a lot of ends to that scenario. Personally, given the Rockets' recent success, or lack thereof, I would be very surprised if a 33-year-old James Harden is willing to come to a team that would still have so many questions and concerns regarding its potential validity and success in the postseason. The more likely scenario is that the Rockets continue to focus on their future, their player development, and their rebuilding process this offseason. There's likely no speed up button to the Rockets' rebuild and rise to a postseason appearance that happens in the 2023 offseason. Before the draft lottery and the outcome of the playoffs, the Rockets possessed their own pick 3, and the Los Angeles Clippers' first-round pick, which would be pick 19. That is where the primary focus of the Rockets' offseason will likely lie, as they will look to add their third key piece in 3 years from the draft, adding to Jalen Green and Jabari Smith Jr. with their lottery selection, whilst also having the opportunity to add another role player with the Clippers selection. The Rockets will hope internally that this is the last year they have some of their best draft lottery odds in the NBA, because they'll be looking to finally move up the conference a little bit, at least, after having the worst record in the conference for the last 3 years. But with having such a bad record this year, they will be looking to once again take advantage of such a position in the draft. The large majority of the Rockets offseason is more likely to be determined by ping pong balls than it is by James Harden's decision, as far as I'm concerned. Heading into the 2023-24 season with a new head coach, another year of player development, the hope is that the culture and the identity of this team can improve whilst the team is more competitive on a night-to-night basis in a very competitive Western Conference. I still think the Rockets are at least a year away from making a push for this play-in tournament in the competitive Western Conference, but at least the Rockets should tally a few more wins, see some more internal improvements, and look to identify a new culture under a new head coach next season. They're just going to be hoping that that new culture is going to be surrounded by Victor Wembanyama.